This is Money, Motivation, and Mike, and I am your host, Michael Wainwright. In charge of all the controls is audio engineer Jason Wright. And hello to you, world. This is the show that will change your life. You can contact us at mx3.vip and find all of our content at mx3.vip or on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/at MX3 Podcast. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the icon bell to get notified of all of our content, which Jason puts out every Monday morning around 9 o'clock, Jason. And this wonderful job of you putting out the content has gotten us over 70,000 subscribers as of the recording of this show. We're at 70,541 subscribers as we and our viewing and listening audience continue to march towards 100,000. And here we are in September, and I think that's an easily obtainable goal by Christmas.
For sure.
Because we're doing some massive growth right now. Our listening hours, our watch hours, our subscribers, our views, everything continues to rise on a daily basis, on a minute by minute basis for that matter. But I'm going to start the show off with some sad news, Jason, before we get into today's topics.
Okay.
The world champion Texas Rangers have been eliminated from playoff contention.
Oh, dear Lord.
Yes. The injuries, in the pitching staff, the lack of production that we got from the offense last year just has not hit its stride this year, 2024. So, hey, better luck next year. And as one of my good old buddies says when he's sitting on his couch looking at that world championship hat sitting on his TV, the world is just fine. So we'll wait for 2025 to get this Texas Ranger train bandwagon going again. Some interesting stuff here that I just want to share with you before we move along here to our topic. Indiana cell phone ban in schools means less school drama, survey says. How about that? Because we just talked about that the other day, and I think that is a growing concern, and I believe there's going to come a day when there will be no cell phones. There will not even be a cell phone on the campus. I know that with the threats and the attacks that we have had in schools, maybe that's a need. We also need to find a way to incorporate more concentration and education into that, and not on that telephone. Now, here is something I think you will find actually it's hypocritical to me. Philip Morris, the tobacco company, sells its asthma inhaler company. What?
Come again?
I mean, oh my goodness. Yes, Philip Morris has sold its asthma inhaler company, citing unwarranted opposition to its goals. What is its goals? I would like to know their goals. Oh my goodness. Nevertheless. Okay. All right. I thought you'd find that one funny. Schools are now putting vape detectors in the bathrooms. Was you aware of that?
I was not.
Yep, they are. There are now, in certain situations, if you would like, the FDA has approved an in-house flu vaccination that does not require a needle. FDA approval just happened. And now here is the shocker of the day. The Secret Service has admitted failures to the Butler, Pennsylvania Trump shooting.
Essentially saying everything that we already knew.
Yeah, that the other 300 million plus Americans already knew.
Yes.
Now, I still say with all these other folks, it was the guns' fault. Why are they? It's never been the Secret Service fault. It's the guns' fault, Jason.
They should have gone with that.
The Secret Service had an out, and they just wasn't smart enough to go with it. That dadgum gun jumped in his hand and pulled its own trigger. Now, I will say that the Secret Service definitely failed in figuring out how this guy didn't figure out how this 20-year-old got on top of this building so easy and took a shot at the former president, killing the I believe fireman there in the background, protecting his family. I don't know how that could happen, but if we had gotten in between the ears and worked on the mental health in this world, which we have not, United States government, there's a chance that 20-year-old would have never been on top of that building. But nevertheless, the guns, these dadgum guns. Why are they not doing background checks on the guns instead of the people? Because it's the gun's fault.
Right.
I think everybody knows where I stand on that. Right along here. Now, this is a report that was released yesterday by CNN. Jason, have you ever heard of the Doomsday Glacier?
I have not.
Which currently resides in the Antarctica Ocean. Or close to the Antarctica. The scientists using iceberg breaking and underwater robots have found that Thwaites Glacier in Antarctica is melting at an accelerating rate and could be on an irreversible path to collapse, spelling catastrophic and global sea level rises. Okay. Now, in my research, I have found anywhere if it's melting by the second. We know this. The global warming thing is here, and I think that some of these type of things, you talk about global warming and you just think about the heat, and you don't really think about all the other things that come along with it. This is one of the other things that come along with it right here. You're talking about a glacier out there that is 80 miles across. It's 74,000 square miles. It is larger than the state of Florida. It's about the size of Great Britain, I believe, is what we come up with.
It's massive.
It is massive. That's right. So as the water rises, now you just think about what a hurricane did to New Orleans here 15 plus years ago, and what it did to all those coastal cities down there, and think about this, shutting down all of that beach entertainment and industry that goes on the sands. Along the coastline. Well, as a matter of fact, all over the globe. It's not just here in the United States. Can you imagine going to the beach and there not being a beach because the water has risen so far? Now, if we're going to go out here and this water is going to rise 25 inches to 10 feet, that's the numbers that I have seen. In different reports that have just been published this week, because this group of scientists have been working on this particular report since 2018. They've been working on this report for 6 years, Jason. So I'm going to say that they probably know a little bit about what they're talking about. So nevertheless, can you imagine how just a hurricane tore apart and what it did to New Orleans? Well, those levees aren't going to even stand a chance if the global water mass increases 2 to 10 feet. You ain't going to have to worry about New Orleans. And that's what they're saying. I mean, I don't know how far above sea level Miami is, but every time you see pictures of Miami, it looks like it's sitting in the water. You know, what does that do? What does it do? How high are the streets in Manhattan? How close, because you get on down there. I mean, all that water is going to go somewhere. It's going to eliminate some kind of landmass. What will it do? Because when you look at Manhattan from the sky, it looks like it sets in the water. And I know it's connected to the United States and it's part of New York, but it's surrounded by water. So what happens there? What happens to the Cubas and the Florida Keys and places like that, and the Aruba, the small little islands out in the oceans that so many people have went to for centuries to vacation. All interesting stuff. That report just came out, and go do your research on the Doomsday Glacier. It is some big old mass piece of ice. We'll put it that way. Now, Cengage Group has, and this is where I'm at for our main stuff today. We're back on education, and I know education comes up a lot, and people we have grown and raised and been taught that the footsteps of your successful life starts with education, which I guess is the reason we start going to school in grade school about 5 years old, and at kindergarten, and now we got actually Jason, I went to Head Start. You ever heard of Head Start?
Yeah, I went to one.
You went to Head Start?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize you were that old. I know you look that old, but I didn't realize you were that old.
Head Start, I think it's starts at 3 years old, 4 years old.
It's 4 because we go to kindergarten at 5.
Yeah.
But now we have preschool, and we have kindergarten, a Head Start. Then we have kindergarten. I mean, you think we'd be turning out some Albert Einsteins by the age of 18? Why would we even need college with all this quality education work going on? So, Cengage Group, they put out their 2024 graduate employment to be able to be employed by what you've done in your time in the schoolhouse. So we're going to go through a little bit of that. And it's, basically bridging the gap between education to employment. Now, a little bit more here on Cengage. So just so you know, they have 100 years of experience in serving learners global and coming up what enables a student to have choices when it comes to education. So there again, they've been around a time or two. One of their major sponsors is National Geographic. Interesting. All right. Today, despite a strong labor market and high demand of skilled talent, employers struggle to find and retain talent to support ever-changing business needs. Additionally, the talent gap that many graduates entering the workforce lack. 52% are not ready for the workforce. 52% is what the employer says. And 52%, also the same number, are working in jobs that don't make use of their degree or credentials. So just happens to be the same number. 52% of the people come to them lacking the skills to do something, and then 52% don't even use their own college degree. I mean, how many people do you know? And I think I've made this comment before on this show. They go off to the university, they get the big 4-year degree, they spend $100,000 plus on education, and they come back and they start waiting tables.
Yeah.
And nothing wrong with waiting tables. We need those too. But you've went to the higher learning institution maybe to learn how to run the business, not work on the at the bar or waiter or waitress at the table. And like I say, I know some people who make a lot of money waiting tables,
mm-hmm.
and they didn't spend 4 years in college. Maybe they're the smart ones.
Well, they don't have that $100,000 in debt, right?
That's exactly right. And they have 4 years of employment history under their belt before these young people come out of college. And, I believe in education. I've got a couple of those degrees, and I'm fortunate enough to get to use them. But nearly 20 states have eliminated bachelor degree requirements for many government positions. So now the government's going away from you needing that piece of paper. And nearly half of the employers report they're working to do the same thing. It's called the silent eliminator in some circles. The silent eliminator is you don't have that certificate of a college degree, so no matter what your skill set is, you are automatically out.
Yeah.
Isn't that discrimination in itself? I mean, we find we find anything to discriminate about and then go sue over it. Now, I don't have a college degree, so is that a requirement or is that a discrimination? Just like with you, from what I know, you don't have a degree in technology and these computers and running this show and doing all the things that go on here. But I perfectly believe that you could work at NASA and get that rocket off the ground, but you don't have a degree in that.
Right. Now, I don't know about NASA, but yes.
Well, just go with me here now. All right. Community college enrollment with a high focus on vocational surged 17.6%, surpassing pre-pandemic enrollment at 6.1%. So community colleges went up 10% in enrollment since 2019. not going for the big university, going to get a couple of years of education and possibly getting an associate's degree. All right. Now, here is what new grads' perception is of their degree. In 2024, now you're basically talking about the grads that just happened here in May, of what they think. Each one of these surveys is about May of 23, 22, 21. That class where we always start school in August, September, and we get out in May. Back in our day, you didn't go before Memorial Day, and you didn't go before Labor Day, and you didn't go after Memorial Day. That was the school year. Factor in a couple of holidays, and you knew when you were going to be in school.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, new grad perception. A record-breaking 3/4, well, it's actually 73%, of the grads said their education was worth the cost. Now, I will be interested to see if they feel that same way in 3 to 5 years. The 2023 bunch, now they went and got their degree. Now they flipped the tassel. They've got the piece of paper and a lot of skill. Don't get me wrong. So I would say that would be your highest thought of when your degree matters the most.
Mm-hmm.
I just spent a boatload of money, took out loans, borrowed money from whomever. Yeah, I want to think that my degree's worth something.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
But this is as high as it's been since the pandemic, because last year in 23, only 52% of the people who graduated thought it was worth the cost. 22, it was 68%, and 21, it was 56%. We kind of see a little wave going on there. Now, it will be interesting to see in 2025 if it comes back down into the 50s. But right now, 73% of the people who spent money to get a higher education believe it was worth its weight in gold. I'm happy for them, and I hope it is. Education values have increased significantly with grads, as we just talked about with the 73%. All right. Vocational training. Get this. You got your associate's degrees, you got your bachelor degrees, and then you have people who go to VOTEC school. VOTEC school right now, of a person trying to make a decision, 77% of them are going to VOTEC school.
Mm-hmm.
In 2023, of those group that was surveyed, or actually they're not surveys, they're actual facts of what they have went out and done, only 43% of the people were going to VOTEC school, more going to college. Now, is that because they're not seeing the value and spending that money and spending that time in the schoolhouse? And I can go over here and I can get my air conditioning and heating license. I can get my plumbing license. I can get a VOTEC of some sort, become a welder, whatever it is, something trained in a particular skill.
Yeah.
77%. That's the high. And last year, only 43%. Interesting stuff. So continue to watch that. Graduates' top recommendations for job seekers. This is people, you've gotten out of school, now you're looking for a job, and this is what the employers are looking for. 31% are looking for a bachelor's degree. 23% are looking for skilled training certifications. Now, that goes back to VOTEC. You still rather have the 4-year degree bachelor, but your next option, Jason, is VOTEC, skilled training certification. 16% associate's degree. The employer out there would rather have a trained, skill certified individual than they would have someone with a 2-year associate's degree. And then 16% comes in at apprenticeships. So the point to what all we're talking about here is, as I'm getting ready to go to college in the late 80s, and we talked about this before, if you weren't going to college you basically were going to be a failure.
Mm-hmm.
If you weren't getting a degree, you had no shot. If you weren't getting a degree, you could forget living a above middle class life. And if you were going to a Votech, you almost were considered dumb. That's where you went when you couldn't figure out how to read, write, and spell. And now, I've never looked at it that way, but because I had what my goals were, and I was on the thin and narrow line since I was about 15 years old on what I wanted to do, or at least I had it narrowed down to a couple things, the accounting and architecture. But a lot of people don't. And a lot of people end up in the Votech. We have a sister that went to cosmetology school and has been kicking it ever since she went, and done very well and success with that. She does, I don't think she has one hour of college education, but she went to Votech. She went after what she was going after, and she turned it into some monumental success. Another example of that. So you just never know. But here, while satisfaction is high, there are regrets with people who go to higher education. And here's what their thoughts are. 70% wish their kindergarten through 12 education promoted or exposed them to alternate learning pathways. Now, what that says to me is, and I believe this wholeheartedly by what it's all about, is you go to school now and you got to pass that STARS test or whatever it is, because if you do that, the school district gets more money. And in my eyes, the government who enforces this on the school districts have lost sight of what we're trying to do, which is qualify and educate and get ready young individuals who are going to be young adults and to go down into the workforce and becoming an asset. And this is what 70% of your graduates will say, is that my kindergarten through 12th did not prepare me for that. And I've always said there are to be 2 classes in school that should be taught. I mean, you can get rid of algebra, and I have a math degree. You can get rid of algebra and put in this particular subject. It's called common sense. How come we don't teach common sense in school? All right. You get rid of another particular class and put in one class and beat them in the head with it for a whole semester. Compound interest.
Yeah.
Albert Einstein said the 2 most powerful words in the world is compound interest. Whether you're paying it or receiving it, it's powerful. Explain to these individuals that when you get that credit card at 14.99 and you don't pay it off, it's 24.99, what that does to your financial situation.
Mm-hmm.
We don't teach that stuff. I mean, you know, a whole bunch of 18-year-olds that don't know how to balance a checkbook. Money in the bank. Well, first of all, we don't even write checks anymore. Debit card. Let's just run that debit card as long as it works.
Yeah.
And when it stops, we'll go figure out what's going on. 48% of students felt their education path was the only realistic option they could pursue because, get this, 43% believe they were influenced and promoted to go after such education by their high school teacher. They had encouragement by their family to pursue at 57%. And they went out and looked for what was the largest, the greatest employment opportunity. 56% did that. But back to the big number. 74% of vocational grads felt it was the only path they could choose because their family encouraged them. You know, another big option, people go into the armed forces. And you can't have enough of that. I know of a young man right now who is in medical school, and the Navy is putting him through medical school. And he went and got a 4-year degree at the University of Texas and then joined the Navy. And the Navy is paying for med school, and for that, he has to give 5 years back to the Navy after he becomes a doctor. But that's one creative way to get a very, very expensive degree. Good for him and good for us that he's doing it.
A lot of those pilots, that's where they come from.
That's exactly right. That's
So,
exactly
same
right.
kind of situation.
Yes. And where we live here in this part of the United States, right up the street, we have what is considered the second best aviation school in the United States in Southeastern Oklahoma State University. Did you know that?
I did.
I believe, and I'm just kind of off the top of my head here, when you go to work for a major airline, you have to have like 1,000 hours of flying time. If you have aviation degree from Southeastern, American Airlines will hire you for 500 with only 500 hours because they know the quality of individual that's coming out of that particular university.
Yeah.
American Airlines, of course, they're based in Dallas, but that's their main recruiting headquarters is Durant, Oklahoma. How about that?
That is fantastic.
You would have never thought when you're hopping on an American Airlines flight in some other part of the earth that the pilot up there in the front cut his teeth in Durant, Oklahoma.
Crazy thought. Out of Eakerfield, isn't it?
Is that what that?
The one right there by Choctaw.
Yeah. Which in the people that live in southern Oklahoma and North Texas call Calera, Oklahoma.
Calera, that's right.
Yes. Gaps here in job readiness. 69% of employers expect to spend 3 to 6 months onboarding, training their new hires. 3 to 6 months because they're not prepared. 65% of employers anticipate recent grads will have unrealistic salary expectations.
No doubt. No doubt.
Oh, I have several people I know. Why are you not working? Oh, they can't afford me. And I'm just going to go ahead and tell you how it is with this generation of folks that are coming out of school right now.
Yeah.
They have unrealistic
expectations
when it comes to money.
Yeah.
Yes, they do. That's exactly right. That's funny. 59% of employers believe new talent lacks formal training in etiquette. They don't even know how to come in and sit down and act. That's 59% of the people, of the employers saying that. You don't even have manners. Incredible.
I wonder how many of them bring their mother in for the interview.
Wonder how many of them send their mother to the interview.
I've heard of it happening.
Hey, so. let's do it on what's it called, Skype or whatever, or Zoom.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do the interview on Zoom so I can get coached from the background.
Lord.
51% of employers expect talent when they come out to lack literacy skills. They cannot handle the English language. I struggle with it myself. You can hear that. You've been hearing that for years. But they come out of school and they don't even know how to talk. They don't even know how to act. They're underskilled. What are we doing? And then one last thing here. There is a pledge online. And the last time I checked, there was over 70 million American workers who had pledged. And it's the tear the paper ceiling. Once again, the silent killer that you don't have the degree and you're automatically not going to get in. Workers with experience, skills, and diverse perspectives held back by a silent limitation. It's time to tear the paper ceiling and see the world beyond it. Okay, here's the pledge. I pledge to shatter stereotypes and misconceptions and to see people for all their experiences, skills, and diverse perspectives. I pledge to recognize the untapped potential of the 70 plus million Americans who are stars in this world, skilled through alternate routes. That's what stars is. You're skilled through alternate routes so that they can flourish. And the pledge to tear the paper ceiling, to see the world beyond it, and let its stars shine. Once again, STAR stands for skilled through alternative routes. Money Motivation and Mike continues to try to bring you information that's not only encouraging and informative, but educational as well on a regular weekly basis. And we continue to appreciate you tuning in, listening in, as always, finding our information at mx3.vip and on our YouTube channel, youtube.com at MX3 Podcasts. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to get notified of all of our new content, which comes out every Monday morning. And of course, you can always contact us, info@mx3.vip. So once again, for Money, Motivation, and Mike, and for everyone who's been a part of this show, continue to live your life the right way.